はい。
It's been a hard week. I think we need to hear Yuzu laugh again. Okay, here we go. Oh, Fanyus. We're taking a little break from the normal trajectory of Yuzuru Hanyu is my emergency contact, the FanyuFanme podcast, to comment on, of course, the current Yuzu events. The current I'm going to cry Yuzu events. The current why Yuzu events. We'll also take a look back at Rostelecom 2018 as a reminder that the light that is Yuzuru Hanyu still managed to be at the end of that tunnel too. Because I know we all wish we could just give each other a big hug right now. Actually, I think we'd all rather just give Yuzu a big hug right now. Just form one big line of Fanyus. He'd probably get through all of us somewhere around 2056. Especially since I'm sure I wouldn't be the only one to get my hug and then go back to the end of the line to try to sneak in another. I'm okay if there's a 14-year wait in between. It would be worth it. But back to the events at hand before we all get too distracted by imagining hugging Yuzu. In times of stress, sadness, or simple emotional overwhelm, my coping mechanism is to write. And since this week I felt all three of those simultaneously, here are my feelings in this newest post to the Yuzuru Hanyu as my emergency contact blog. As I try to cope.
せーの。
The Fanyus are currently accepting ankle donations. Because here we are again. And I have no words. Ever since hearing the news of Yuzu's injury, I've tried to figure out how to phonetically convey my hourly soul sigh of heartbreak for Yuzu. Just how many H's are there in Because aside from that non-conveyable sound of sadness, I've found it hard to say anything, much less anything blog-worthy. But here goes. There are only so many ways to convey how the Fanyus feel when Yuzu falls. And as we all pile into the Fanyu waiting room for another round of sleepless nights and rotating shifts of worldwide waking, we pass our time differently. It all depends on your personal Fanyu style. Some of us light candles, some of us knit, some of us sketch, some of us blank stare, some of us pray, some of us swear. Some of us start taking online classes in orthopedic surgery. But all of us consider just what it would take to actually donate a ligament. Hontoni. And if we feel this way, it's unimaginable how it must be for Yuzu. Just like a baseball player knows the second he hits a home run, I bet Yuzu knows the second he has a damaging fall. I'm sure his first thought is, oh, fudge. Or whatever the equivalent to, oh, fudge would be in Japanese. Of course, for all the obvious reasons, but also for the circus he knows is to follow. The announcements, the media, the rumors, the expectations, and he just did finally get his suitcase shut. He has said himself that he knows the fans all react with as much frustration as he does when this happens. It's a vicious cycle. Yuzu gets hurt, we worry about Yuzu. Yuzu worries he's disappointed us. We are sad Yuzu is worried. Yuzu is sad we are sad. We worry that we have made Yuzu sad, and before you know it, we're all crying into our Pooh-sans. But let's get one thing straight. I'm gonna need the Quad Axel to start playing nice. You would think it would want to be liked by us. It's like Yuzu is bringing the Quad Axel to meet his family for the holidays, and he just wants us to all get along. Here's a tip, Quad-san. It is not a good idea to kick Yuzu in the ankle right before the Thanksgiving turkey is carved. Trust me, no matter how epic or historic you are, if you hurt Yuzu, we will not like you. But we know Yuzu loves you, so we will try. But you might be seated at the kids' table until you get your act together. To be fair, there is no certainty that I know of that it was actually the Quad Axel that caused Yuzu's injury. Who knows? Before I saw an article detailing that it was a fall on ice, I accepted that he could have just slipped in the lobby of the ice rink. I mean, a fall is a fall, and we all know real floors are hard for Yuzu. But I think we all have our suspicions. It was the Quad Axel in the Sendai ice rink with the outside edge. I still believe, no, I know Yuzu will do it. There is no question in my mind. From the moment he said he wanted to do it, I knew it would happen. He didn't even have to leave the ground. The mere fact that he said it was his goal made it reality. That's just how Yuzuru Hanyu works. But here's the thing. I can't imagine there are many, if any, Fanyus who would say that they'll be disappointed in Yuzu if he doesn't do it. And if you claim to be a Fanyu and can even begin to entertain the thought that you could ever be disappointed in Yuzu, I recommend you reassess your Fanyuness, which sounds like a title to a Bruno Mars song. We will only be disappointed because Yuzu will be disappointed. And then since Yuzu is disappointed, we will be... Never mind. We all know where we go from there. We've been over this already. But for now, the only costume Yuzu needs to wear includes green pajama pants. He can take off his jacket to reveal his favorite I Love Winnie-ing sweatshirt. We would still so cheer at getting to see that. The only warm-ups are the hot chocolate in the microwave. The only landings are the best spot on the futon. And the only points are on his favorite video game, which at least probably scores fairly. If he's determined to practice anything for the new season, he's allowed to bust out the LGC hair for a remote control trip to the aquarium. He can just ring a tiny bell if he needs anything, and Pooh-san will get it. As long as it is within 4-inch paw reach. Because Yuzu will just be happy if you are healthy, and will be patient if you'll be patient. See how that works? We'll be there for you whenever you are ready to be there for us, and we will wait for as long as it takes. No matter where, no matter when, and most certainly, no matter the score. Do we even bother with those anymore? The day Yuzu lands the Quad Axel, they're going to have to rename the kiss and cry to the kiss and hysterically sob your face off. For us, and probably also for Yuzu. Why am I crying? We're all crying, Yuzu. And it's okay.
完成です。
As the news started to spread about Yuzu's injury, I couldn't help but flash back to Ross Telecom 2018, when the Fanyus, at least those of us who managed to get the Yuzu signal about a practice being streamed, watched in horror as we witnessed one of Yuzu's damaging falls in real time. Blurry as it was, because my stream's water was particularly muddy that night, I will never forget that sickening feeling that something had gone terribly wrong. And I wasn't alone, as Fanyus never are. This next post is all about the shared Fanyu Shinpai and how we all tried to stay calm. Let's take a look back at 2018 as a reminder that Yuzu has been here before, and so have we, so don't panic.
せーの。
It's 1 a.m., and Yuzu just fell. Fanyus watching the world over gasped in one epic international moment of terror. It was just a practice, and Yuzu falls a lot. Go big or go ie. But this time was different. This time he went down and stayed down much longer than usual. We could only hope that the splayed limbs crumpled on the ice were a marionette in a pile of kuyashi instead of one with a broken string. The poor Yuzuru Hanyu International Fan Group Facebook admins suddenly had their hands full. They did their best to disperse the fear and keep the freakouts to a minimum. After nearly every Fanyu comment was an admin posting, "Stay calm. Don't panic. Stay calm. Don't panic." But it wasn't doing any good. Nothing short of Pooh-san Skyping in and saying, "I think he's good," was going to appease us. And even then, I'm not sure I would have been okay. Uh-oh. Denial. Which stage of mourning is that? Stay calm. Yuzu left the rink before his music stopped. He slowly peeled himself off the ice, skated in a few circles, and then took off his gloves. Uh-oh. This is serious. He gave the universal cutthroat gesture of, "I'm done," to his coaches, bowed to a smattering of stunned applause, and was gone. Brian had Pooh-san in his arms and ready to go before Yuzu could even get his skate guards on. Granted, I have a feeling it was because he had to restrain Pooh-san from flinging himself on the ice the moment Yuzu fell. I think that was the immediate instinct of every Fanyu. Don't panic. I called my mom, waking her to the panicked statement of, "Yuzu just went down hard." There's a wake-up call for you. She asked what the Fanyus were saying. I told her the feed had momentarily gone silent as everyone was probably doing the same thing as me, calling their loved ones. Stay calm. I didn't sleep. No one did. Time zone lines were erased. Everyone was waiting. I spent the dead of night in the world's largest ER waiting room. There I sat with 19,000 other people waiting to hear the doctor's report. I felt a bit like I should have brought a casserole. Don't panic. The admins encouraged us to funnel our energies into posting in the prayer circle. Yes, it is a thing. Before every competition, a couple of the Fanyus create a post stating, "Now it is right time to join our virtual hands and time for #prayer circle. Here are prayers, skating gods. May we know joy and not sorrow in this new season. May Yuzu land all his jumps, including perfect combos in his free. May he get all levels on spins and steps as well as deliver a strong performance. In the name of the skating gods, we say Shupa." Okay. So maybe this reads less like a prayer circle and more like a group of witches wearing Winnie the Pooh ears around a cauldron in a Shakespearean foist. But I guess whatever you gotta do to stay calm.
完成です。
I've said before that I don't know how the Fanyus handled the pre-Pyeongchang injury/radio silence. As much as I regret not being a Fanyu before that, I've always considered myself lucky because I seriously don't know how you all did it. I mean, I get a little sick watching the YouTube videos of Yuzu's practices at the Olympics, and I know he wins! It still makes me crazy with anxiety for him and the kind of pressure and scrutiny he was under before he even took off his jacket. Brian said in a recent interview,
You fast forward 4 years, we are in the same situation.
Brian, that is horrifying! Even before this recent injury, I had been thinking, I don't think I can do this in February, Yuzu. Of course, I will. In fact, I'm beginning to think this is the Fanyu's version of the Quad Axel. We've had to practice, watching competition after unjustly scored competition, not to mention seeing Yuzu relentlessly flinging himself onto the ice as he allowed us the tiniest glimpse into what is his everyday battle with the Quad Axel. We've had to mentally prepare. I've been doing image training to envision exactly where I will be sitting on my couch, or most likely standing in front of it, who could be calm enough to sit, when Yuzu next takes the ice. It might not even be a bad idea to invest in the heart rate monitor like Yuzu wears, because we need to be safe about this. Yuzu has routinely taken on the impossible, and the Fanyus have always been there to support him. And now, as we go into what Brian has so kindly reminded us is
the same situation.
As Pyeongchang, well, I guess it's time for me to fully pay my Fanyu dues. Bring it on. I'm here, Yuzu, along with a few of my closest friends from all over the world. Get well soon as you are ready. For all the Fanyus, if you need something to pass the time during your shift in the Fanyu waiting room, you can always visit FanyuFanme on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Redbubble, or the official website at FanyuFanme.com. Until next time, say it with me, Yuzuru Hanyu. The FanyuFanme podcast is a Back to the Forest production.
Back to the forest? Just kidding.